everyone. Welcome to Engaged Citizens of Columbia County. I'm your host, Sherry Ryan, and today I am joined with Nancy Ward, who is the candidate for Port Commissioner Position 1. Welcome, Nancy.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. So nice to see you in it almost in person.
Right? Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yes, you too. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining me and just being willing to share about yourself with our community and to just put this out to everybody. So let's just get started.
Let's
So
do.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your personal life?
Absolutely. So the dry basics are I was born and raised in Oregon, graduated from Grants Pass High School, got a degree in business from Loyola Marymount University, and had about a 30-year career in construction related industries. I found a sweet little floating home on the Multnomah Channel in 2006, and that's what brought me to Scappoose. I consider that to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. I absolutely love living on the river. I am now retired. I have lots of good friends, very supportive family, and I care very much about this community. I'm not a whole lot different than most of the people who live here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is wonderful. And you live on the river, which
I
is
live
so
on the
cool.
river. Yeah, that's something that is kind of unique, and I just can't tell you how much I love it. It's such a
Yeah,
different perspective. It keeps you really grounded.
yeah.
Knowing how important the beauty and the calm and the quiet of this area is, and may it be able to stay that way as long as possible.
Yeah, yeah, great perspective. Can you can you just, you're running for the port commissioner.
Yep.
Can you please tell us, what is your why? Why do you want to continue? Because I know that you are a
Right.
port commissioner right now. What is your why? Why do you want to continue to be on the board on the commission?
Well, I will tell you, Sherry, I think that everyone needs to know that by having been elected 4 years ago, you invested in me.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because you don't just step into the role of commissioner and start commissioning. There's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the first, I would say, year and a half to 2 years, you're really
Mhm.
absorbing everything, how it works, how it's organized. And yes, you're participating, of course you are, but you're not really forging your own path. And
Mhm.
that takes a couple of years. And I
Yeah.
truly feel like in order to serve people the way they expect to be served, people
Yeah.
need 2 terms. I
Yeah.
don't think they need 4 terms. I don't think they need 8 terms. I will pledge that this will be my last term, but I think it is a good use of your vote to send me back
Mhm.
because I believe I have really something truly unique, and I have a voice and a grounding that I didn't have when I first started.
Yeah, yeah, that is, you know what? That is what I always think of, like, your first term, right?
Yes,
I mean, it's a short duration, that 4 years, where you're like, okay. And like you just said, a year and a half to really just kind of get, used to what it is and learn the ropes and just kind of get familiar, right?
absolutely. Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't just jump right in.
yeah, yeah. Well, because you've served and you've been there, can you tell us, what does a port commissioner do?
Well, in a very short factual sense, we do 2 things. We supervise the executive director. That is the only person who reports directly to the commission. We do not get involved in the day-to-day issues of staffing, and that is left to the executive director. So number one, we manage the executive director, and number two, we set policy.
Okay. Can you give me an example of what kind of policy maybe has been set, like one that you've been involved in or such?
Well, for this is where this broad spectrum of understanding comes, because when you're
Okay.
talking about what benefits you're going to offer to the people who work there, and what direction do we really want the focus to be. And I
Okay.
will tell you, this is one of the things that can be a little difficult for staff, because if you consider the fact that commissioners are elected like every 2 years, so you've got constantly, or you have there is that opportunity for new commissioners to come on, and with
Yeah.
every new commissioner there is slight changes made, and
Yeah.
so moving in a direction that is consistent, uh, without being stuck in one position, that is
Mhm.
what it's about. So setting policy for the way we're moving forward,
Okay.
that is really the juicy part of being a
Okay.
commissioner.
Well, I appreciate that explanation.
Sure.
Um, so, what is your thoughts? Lots of people, write in or ask or talk to me on the street, kind of what
Right.
I would say about different things that, are coming across for the port commissioners. And next renewables is a hot topic. We know
Very,
this.
very.
This is a hot topic for Columbia
Hmm.
County.
Hmm.
What are I know that this, it's next renewables is in the works. And what are your thoughts? What are your kind of just where you could, tell us about what your thoughts are,
Sure.
what you envision.
Well, this is a project that's been about 5 years in the making.
Okay.
So it actually started forming before I became a commissioner. And in
Mm,
2019, that's when I was sworn in, and
yeah.
that was July of 2019. And
Okay.
in September, we had the vote on whether or not to offer a lease to Next Renewables.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, I did not vote in favor of that.
Okay.
There are many reasons, and some of them were about the management of the company. Some of them were the history of the people involved in the company up until then.
Mm,
And there was a very big question in my mind about, is are renewables a real thing? Is this really going to happen? Because there was somewhat of a pie in the sky idea.
okay.
Understood the idea behind it and why, because we are trying to transition off of renewable fuels. Electric is coming, but it is not here in its full-blown form. It will never be take over 100% of our energy
Mm,
needs.
yeah.
So my question was, is this a real deal? And I decided on that I was not convinced that this was the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that I returned from Washington, D.C. 3 weeks ago. I was part of, I should say, the port is part of an organization called the Pacific Northwest Waterways Association. This is
Okay.
an 80-plus-year old organization. They go back to Washington, D.C. every year to meet with senators and representatives from the agencies, the permitting agencies, and all the agencies involved in economics. And so this is an organization that represents ports, it represents independent businesses, tugboat
Yeah.
companies. And we're fortunate enough to be visited by, I think it was 6 senators from 3 states and about
Okay.
20 representatives. And over and over and over again, I was told that we are moving into the renewable world. This
Mm,
isn't something any longer that's a question. The
mm,
federal government has decided that this is where we're going. They are putting their money behind it, tax incentives, and they're putting the full force of the government behind this.
mm,
So it really made me stop and think. It's like, well, this is coming. Our federal government has given it its stamp of approval. We have this perfect location because of the dock. We have already given a lease to Next Renewables, and here we go.
okay. Wow. And you just got back from that
Yeah, 3 weeks
visit.
ago. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It was a game
Okay.
changer for me.
Wow. Okay. Um, what are your top three priorities that you would take then as port commissioner into your next term? What would be, if I were to contact you
Yep.
after you were elected, and I was like, Nancy, this is what you stated during your campaign. These are the
Mhm.
things that you want to work on or that you want to take into your next term, that I would say, how are those things going now? If I were to contact you, 6 months after election, is could you share those with us?
Oh, of course. I'd be
Okay.
delighted to. Just try and stop me.
I will not stop you.
Oh, good. So, obviously, the port is charged with economic development,
Hmm.
but there is a lot more to economic development than bringing businesses in. And for me, what actually attracted me to run for the port was the community aspect. I am deeply interested in increasing the transparency at the port. And we are, it isn't that we're not transparent, but
Yeah.
I believe that we can increase our visibility by being more inclusive. I
Okay.
think that community outreach, I mean, honestly, I'll tell you a story. I live
Yeah.
in this marina, and as you can imagine, floating homes, we're all pretty close to each other. We know our neighbors really well.
Yeah.
Because we only have one in egress and ingress, we see each other all the
Mhm.
time. So I
Yeah.
had just picked up my flyers for my campaign. As I was walking through the parking lot, one of my neighbors was coming towards me, and I handed him my flyer and I said, "I'm running for Port of Columbia County and I hope you'll vote for me." And he goes, "The Port of Columbia County? What is that?" Well, here we are.
Wow. Yeah.
We've been in this community a very long time, and yet our visibility is not great. Our
Mhm.
identity is not great because we have a big outreach. We have the port, we have Scappoose Bay Marina, we
Yeah.
have the airport, and then we
Mhm.
have industrial centers where
Yeah.
we have 42 tenants. We
Wow.
cover a wide spectrum. We impact the lives of people in this county regularly, and they
Yeah.
don't know it. So
Yeah.
I want that for
Yeah.
the people who live here, and I want it for
Yeah.
the port, for all of us to understand that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're doing, then you may be upset with something we've done, but you didn't know about it ahead of time. You didn't come to the meeting. You didn't participate because you didn't know. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
plug that hole. I
Yeah.
really want to plug that hole. And then the other thing on a business level
Yeah.
is I have been fortunate enough to receive the support in the commission to start what we call an agricultural uh, communication, or an agricultural information committee.
Okay.
And this is dealing with the neighbors around the port westward who are in the farming business. And they are
Okay.
very interested in having the port support agricultural industry.
Mm.
It's not going to be an industry like Next. It's not going to employ, 250 people, but it's
Yeah.
a very, very important part of our community. I mean, I
Mhm.
literally love to eat, and
Yeah.
I like
Me
having my
too.
food. Yes, and I like my food coming local. I like to know
Yeah.
who grows my food. And the other
Mhm.
thing is this food independence that is offered to us. If we have the earthquake that everybody says is going to be coming, if we have a
Yeah.
flood, if
Yeah.
we have any disaster that cuts off the ability for transportation to bring food into the stores, what are
Yeah.
we going to do?
Yeah.
I think this
Yeah.
is a really important thing, that we have this beautiful agricultural land and we need to promote it, and we need to help the farmers figure out how we can work together to make this happen. So this becomes a viable part of the economy here in Columbia County.
Yeah, yeah, very important.
Yes, it
Very
is.
important. And that's like in Clatskanie, where they have, their farmers market is just a fabulous
Isn't it though?
event, right?
It is the best farmers
Yes,
market. I mean, they're all of our farmers markets are great, but
yes,
there,
yes,
unfortunately, there's become like a competition between North and South Columbia County.
yeah,
And gosh, we just need to move around. We need to see each other. We
Yeah.
need to interact with each other, and we need to buy
Yeah.
each other's food, our fresh
Yes.
food and the homemade goods,
Keep it
and get to
local.
know each other. Yeah,
Yeah, keep it local. I love going to, like, I live in Scappoose, so I always go to the Scappoose Farmers
me
Market that's,
too.
right here by my house.
Yep.
I'm just a few blocks, and oh my gosh, they have the best flowers. Just
Don't
a
they
plug
though?
for that.
Yep.
They have the best flowers. I love going down to the Clatskanie Farmers Market. Also, I have family down there, and where they have all kinds of different food then, and they have different things. So it's like getting out and going to the different
Yep.
farmers markets, and those supporting those local businesses.
Yes, and
Um,
getting them to the point where people from other areas want to come because we have several farmers markets. You can go to
yeah.
Scappoose and St. Helens and Rainier and
Yes.
Clatskanie and make a whole day of it. Yeah.
Very, very cool. That's fabulous. I love it. At one of the forums that happened at the Village Inn in St. Helens recently,
Yeah.
there was some mention of some transportation expansions. What are your thoughts on that? Or is that even, something going on, or what do you think?
Oh, always. I mean, transportation, we all understand that the way we transport goods affects the cost of the goods. It
Yeah.
affects climate change. It's a very important component of any product that is made is how do
Yeah.
we transport it?
Yeah.
Some people believe that we need to increase train traffic. I don't happen to be one of those people. I think
Yeah.
that train traffic here in Columbia County is a problem.
Mhm.
We're all affected by it. We
Yeah.
have quite a bit of train traffic now. The more that we can get away from train traffic, and the more that we can use our river, and the more that we can get creative with the way we transport goods, and the more that we keep things local, the
Yeah.
better off everything is going to be, including the planet. Now, we have the ability at Port Westward, where we currently have two berths, or basically two docks, to
Okay.
one dock big enough to have two ships. Wouldn't it be great to add on to that and have three? I mean,
Mm.
I'm talking real big here. I understand all the issues involved with that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it. And what about building docks in other places besides Port Westward?
Yeah.
There's certainly the ability to do that. So we have options, and we have good options. We don't have enough money.
Hmm.
That's always the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Growth,
Isn't that always?
it's always, whether it's our house, our household budget, or whether it's the Port of Columbia County's budget, there's never
Yeah.
enough money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have been the port commissioner for for this term. Is
Mhm.
What would make you qualified then going into a second term? What would qualify you if somebody was saying, "Why are you the candidate, Nancy? Why should we vote for you again?"
Well, as I mentioned before, you've already invested in me,
Yeah.
and now I'm really prepared to
Mm,
um, to use all the information. I'm using everything I've learned in my entire life in this job. That's what I love about it.
mhm,
And I would say that my number one strong point that is an aid to any commission,
mhm.
no matter whether it's me or anyone else, is if you are a collaborator. And that's where I think I shine. I think I
Mhm.
love collaborating, and I want to collaborate. And I love bringing all this information together and working on it together so we can come up with the best possible solution. Everybody thinks their idea is the best idea, but when you have more than one idea, then we have to figure out a way to move those things together so nobody feels like they're a loser and no good idea goes untapped, but
Yes.
that it is reasonable, that everyone can get behind it, that we can all support it. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's a difficult thing to do.
Oh, for sure, right?
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
We have seen that. And
Haven't we?
yes.
In fact, we're
Well,
living it. This is the
we are
culture
living
we're
in it.
in. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, well, Nancy, it has just been fabulous to speak with you and get to know you and hear
Thank
your
you.
thoughts.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to
Thank
be
you.
sharing out your contact info so that people can, so that they can engage with you and ask you questions
I would love
and meet
that.
with you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So thank you
yes.
for that.
And I will tell you, coming out of that last forum, I have had people
Yeah,
contact me, and it's wonderful because
good.
and
Yeah.
what you're doing here, Sherry, is so important because the trouble with this election is there's no voters pamphlet.
Yes,
How
I
are
know,
people
right?
going to get their information? They're going to get it from
Like
Sherry and
this.
engaged. Yeah. So thank you for
Oh, well,
what you're
thank you.
doing.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
You
And
bet.
I totally enjoy doing this. And I enjoy, helping our community be engaged in civic matters. So thank you so much for being willing to speak with me and, part of this process. So thank you. And I'm going to share out your info so people can reach you even more.
Great.
And I look forward to talking to you again soon. So you take
Thank you
care.
so much, Sherry, and happy Easter.
Okay. You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.